because she didn't want to lie in front of under oath, because that would have been a crime. So she admitted she just made stuff up, and then when the reporters asked her about that, she denied it because she wasn't under oath anymore. So that's pretty much my response to everything.
Hey, it is said that at times, you've that. Hold on a second. Okay, there we go. I don't know if you can hear me still or not, but
I can hear you. You were on a couple delay there, yeah.
Okay, I know what it is. Hold on a second. I know how to fix that real quick.
I know what it is. Hold on a second.
That's better. Okay, you there?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, I got it. I got that nailed down. That is all right, awesome. All right. It's often said that San Francisco is one of the birthplaces of improv outside of Chicago. Is that true?
Oh yeah. Well, it had a huge the committee back in the late '60s and '70s, and I think they were here for like 10 years, and they took the town by storm, and then they all moved to LA and made millions of dollars. And but also Robin Williams had a lot to do with the improv scene here, because he was such just a genius at improv and stand-up comedy. He was good, but his real skill was working on stage with other people. Unfortunately, you had to have a pretty large sense of confidence in order to work with him. I mean, there was give and take, and if you didn't take fast enough, he would just take, and there was no giving. So you had to be in that special little scene. And my wife actually was. My wife actually was one of the people that could actually play with him, hang with the master.
Was it that Robin? I mean, what bothers me so much? Well, I just got to be honest. I just got to talk to you, because the last time I saw Robin Williams where he passed was at Escape to Alcatraz Triathlon, and he was biking. And I remember thinking, God, what an amazing guy. He's just such a fabric of the neighborhood, and everybody knows and loves him. You know what I mean? What's your memory of Robin?
Well, Debbie knew him. Debbie worked with him when he was just starting out in improv, and so they worked together. She knew him as an equal, before he went to LA. And she knew him when he was the funniest guy in the room, before he was the funniest guy on the face of the planet. So they were friends, and I was just Debbie's husband. I was Mr. Durst, and that was about it. But he was always gentle and generous and kind, and the stuff that he would do was and he never got any plaudits. I mean, he never tried to, oh, look at me, I'm at a hospital, with kids and stuff, and he would do it on his own.
What after Robin Williams? Well, I don't want to say after Robin Williams. I'll just stick on this one. Would you say Robin Williams put San Francisco on the map outside of you, or because there's a group of people that I think of as putting their stamp on, and when I say San Francisco, I don't mean just San Francisco. I mean the Bay Area. I think of Robin Williams. I think of you. I think of a number of people, but
it was that time, San Francisco, for those years, especially the early '80s up until the mid '80s. There weren't that many comedy clubs in America.
True.
Right. And I think in 1986 there were 40 full-time comedy clubs, and then cable discovered comedy, and then it just reared its ugly. There were 400 comedy clubs in 1992 across the country, so it just exploded. But those early '80s in San Francisco, because we weren't smarter than anybody else, but we thought we were. And the audiences demanded more of their comics. And you got some incredibly eclectic talents and acts. Kevin Meaney, Michael Meehan, Bobby Slayton, of course, who moved down to L.A.
Right, Bobby Slayton, right.
Bob Scott, some of the older guys. It was just it was an incredible time, and the audiences, because it was San Francisco, they expected you to try more, to experiment more, and they fed you with their energy, and people took more risks here. I remember Jerry Seinfeld had this put down about San Francisco. He said we were like Shangri-La, the comedians up here, fine as long as we were inside the gates, but once we left, we would deteriorate. Yeah, because our hip stuff didn't work down in L.A.
What you were saying something I thought was interesting about in that just a moment ago. You said that audiences then demanded more from the comics. What do you mean?
Well, I used to work a club in Harvard Square in Cambridge, and it was one of the best comedy clubs in the country. It was because of the way it was designed, the acoustics and the architecture, but also you could take chances there because it was in Harvard Square. The audiences weren't necessarily smarter than others; they just thought they were. So, I mean, you could make passes. You could do long passes, and they would run to catch them. It didn't have to be everything. Didn't have to be a button hook. It wasn't just to a tight end. They would actually make the intellectual leap. And we had comics who subsisted on the road. Road comics who would come to San Francisco and they would do their homophobic and sexist and misogynist material, and the audiences wouldn't respond. And they would come into the green room and say, they don't get me. No, man, they get you.
Yeah, I'm glad you. Yeah, I remember a number of instances like that, and I'm glad you mentioned that because it really, to me, hallmarks the fact I think that the Bay Area supersedes or precedes the rest of the country in terms of social change. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I don't know why. Well, I do a little show about San Francisco, and I talk about everybody in the world wants to live in America. Everybody in America wants to live in California. Everybody in California wants to live in the Bay Area. So I think everybody in the world wants. We that whole thing. We believe it.
Yep.
It might be a little parochial. It might be a little chauvinistic, but we live it. We believe it, and I mean, come on, man! That's where Starfleet headquarters is.
Yeah, hey, and I remember I went to Skyline High in Oakland, and I was leaving Skyline to go to Texas Arlington, and I was at Lake Merritt, and my friend Craig's dad, I ran into him, and he goes, "I can't imagine why anyone would want to leave here. What's wrong with you?" So I mean, it's just it's just absolutely that.
How was Arlington? Did you like it?
I felt like I took I'm just saying this publicly. I felt like I took a 20-year step back in time, but to consider, I graduated from Skyline High, Tom Hanks, school, 6 years behind him, class of '80, and I thought that every school was like Harvard with Ivy, right? Naive. And it was a commuter school that I selected to learn urban planning there, and I made the best of a situation where I'll just tell you the story since you asked, but I was going. This hallmarked my time. Okay, August 19th of 1980. I'm going to the bookstore. I have no idea what to expect. I'm wearing a black shirt which says Porsche down. I'm wearing white pants. Okay, it's summer. It's like 90 degrees. Whatever. I'm going back to my room. My apartment complex. It's these have these side catwalks. It's brick and everything, right? Anyway, two women. They look like the female equivalent of Laurel and Hardy. Okay. And I've never seen them before. And the big one says, "Excuse me, where are you from?" And I said, and this is at a distance, okay? And I said, why? She goes, "Where are you from?" And I said, why? She goes, "Well, you look like you're from Africa." And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "No, I'm not from Africa." And she's yelling this at me, and they're about to get into a 1979 Amber Monte Carlo. All right, I remember every aspect of this like it happened yesterday. Okay,
with a Landau roof.
Yeah, no, it didn't have a Landau roof. Good point though. And so anyway, she goes, "Where in California?" I said, "Oakland, California." "Where's Oakland?" I said, "It's across from San Francisco." "San Francisco? You're queer. We think you're queer." And I said, I'm a person. I'm not queer. And I'm going up the steps. And Will, as soon as I hit the door and I turned my key to open the door, something hit me like that. And I snapped. I left the room, I left the apartment door open, threw the keys on my bed, ran down the catwalk, ran down the stairs. They had gotten into that car. They were headed down the driveway. I ran and caught up to the car. Okay? I'm in the middle of the street, Cooper Street. I'm running alongside the car like I'm a $6 million man or something. I had lost it. And then in the middle of the street, I'm running, and then something I realized, hey, I'm in the middle of the street. And I turned to my left, and this girl's looking at me like, and so I took my finger like this, and I put it right on her nose. And then I stopped, and I thought, I'm going to get killed. And there was nothing around. There was like no cars.
Thank God.
That summed up. It took me 2 years to adjust. I stuck it out, and then I went to Cal for grad school. I was at home. There you go. That's how it was. Okay, I tried to transfer, but California was so far ahead of Texas at that time. I haven't been back since. But that's how it was. It was really a step backward.
Did they have good barbecue?
Oh, outstanding barbecue. Went to Austin, and I had 5-alarm chili. But I haven't been back. Last time I haven't been back. I'll go back because but it marks the Bay Area, because when I come back to the Bay Area even today, I feel like I'm always at the cutting edge of something, even if it's a term or a trend or whatever. I don't know what your thoughts, but even like with comedy, with talking with you, and you're at the cutting edge of comedy and politics. And for that, I got to ask you a question: Can we beat Donald Trump, or would Donald Trump get reelected? Because I spend over half my time here in Georgia, and the other side of the country, it starts to feel like he'd get reelected.
Yeah, well, it's the electoral college, and he's got the red states, and it's interesting. He's got this base of 35%. And nothing he does will ever sway them. It doesn't. You can't use any argument against him. I read a statistic that after Senator Joe McCarthy, with the red baiting in the House of America's Education Committee, after he was censored by the Senate, and they said. At long last, sir, have you no decency? After he was totally shamed and disgraced, he still had an approval rating of 35%. Yeah. There is a certain amount of Americans don't care. They want a strong man. They want somebody who's, vulgar. Yeah. So if you can get the tweeners, if you can get the as they call themselves, the independents, and I don't see how he can win. And I don't care what Democrat, I don't care who or what they put up. I don't care if it's. I think Democrats will vote for anybody that wins the nomination. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Andrew Yang. Marianna Williamson, who I have no idea who that is. I don't care who they put up. I think Democrats will vote for a child's pail of wet sand before Donald.
How do you think we have too many people running though?
No, this has happened before. In 2008, there were about 15 Democrats and about 15 Republicans. So it's they'll all drop after the first debates, because there's probably going to be 2 nights of them. I think it'll all even out. I think 4 or 6 or 8 will be gone by September, and I think another 4, 6, or 8 will be gone by the New Hampshire primary.
Hey, so let's. I'm curious. Who is Will Durst? How did you come to be a comedian?
I always wanted to be a comic. My mom says that when I was 6 years old, I asked her where I could go to school to become a stand-up. And I I guess because I have a brother who's mentally retarded. He's
wow.
differently abled. I don't know. I don't know what the term is these days.
Developmentally disabled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he couldn't communicate with work. So we would try to include him in the family, and we would make him laugh, and that was the currency around the dinner table, was making Marky laugh. And so I think, and I was also always the new kid at school because I went to 14 different schools before I graduated from high school.
What?
So yeah.
How was that? How did you go to 14 different schools?
It was a baby boom for growing and stuff. Parents were divorced, they moved. Yeah. I get down a lot too. So.
Were you kind of a malcontent kind of guy, or was that the idea?
Go ahead, get that.
Oh no, that's you know what that is? That's a technical malfunction of a printer with a mind of its own that I didn't even turn on. So at all. So
Is it an HP?
it's a Canon that has decided that it's doing something weird, which is odd because it has no business even being on. I've never seen that before. They're ghosts here, Will.
Yeah, well,
You're bringing out the ghosts. it's like
Duas and Machina, I think.
yes. So somebody, one of the ghosts of comedy are talking to us through this thing, and they might cause a print to come out here. This thing just was supposed to be off. I'm not kidding you. This is supposed to be off. I'm not making this up. I'm just kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? You know. So you're making magic here. All right, you're making magic happen as we
the dulcet tones in my voice.
Yeah. So at any rate, it's but getting back to what we were talking about. What would you say is? Who would you say today is the comic that best defines the modern era, or should it this era? What would you say that is?
There's one of my favorites is a guy named Greg Proops.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Proops, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and there's also a local guy here in town, W. Kamal Bell.
Yes.
Who I think is incredible.
Yes.
And there's a couple of women who it's just so many. But I'm Pollyanna. I think anybody who has the cojones to get up on stage and attempt to make people laugh out loud on purpose against their will, I think you can learn from everybody.
Is it that? How has the internet changed things?
It's made people who are more socially awkward people are able to become professional stand-ups because they can hone their craft on the internet. And
really?
There are a lot of socially awkward people in comedy to begin with. So I think it's just a different skill set. I think it's a different maturation environment because they grow up, conversant with all these different influences, mm-hmm. and the internet is one way to get in there. And I know all the influences. I had record albums and the Tonight Show, mm-hmm. and that was about it. And now there's so many more. I mean, the kids can access all of those Tonight Show comics. There's just so much research that can be done.
Will there be another place like the phone. Would be hold on a second. Sure. Will, yeah, one moment. Okay. It was because of that thing going off. I don't know why it went off that way. So anyway, I'm back.
I am too.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, cool.
I had to update my wife on the word.
I'm not kidding. That thing actually turned on spontaneously. And so when it turns on around here, you can't use the phone. And so it's like,
Ah,
yeah, right. So I'm thinking, why is this coming on? And no, but it was wild, you know? And I thought, wow. So that's why I thought, I mean, like I said, you really did conjure up the ghosts of comic past. So it was, I am not kidding. You think, yeah, he's BSing me. No, and all of a sudden I'm getting like, and everybody's like, So, that a memorable moment. Keep that in mind. That the magic of Will Durst can alter.
The juju has washed over to the other side.
Yeah. I think that's a blessing. I think it means I'm being blessed. I appreciate that. So, but I was asking, will there be another place like the Punchline, and comedy in San Francisco? Is that possible to replicate, or is it a simple matter of lowering rents where businesses can afford them again, or what is it? Or is it the society's just not there anymore?
It's a different world than the one that the Punchline, came up in. There'll be other places like the Punchline. In 40 years, people will be holding memorials for other venues or for different formats or platforms. But it's all a wave. It's all a cycle. This is the end of a cycle. So.
How would you remember? We talked about Tim Conway, but Harvey Korman.
Yes, some of the best Harvey Korman and the Mel Brooks movies. Just we still do jokes. My wife and I still do jokes about Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, I remember.
Headley.
Yeah. Headley. Remember, and Cleavon Little, right?
Right.
That's right. What is the best comic movie ever made in your opinion?
That's I don't know. Strange Love is good.
I'm gonna
Big
throw
Lebowski is good.
Young Frankenstein.
Any of the Coen Brothers, Fargo. There's so many.
Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles. One more. One of my producers, the original producers. Those would have to be the top 10.
Yes.
And
Panther.
Yes.
Pink Panther. Right. The Pink Panther.
All right, Zeddy, I gotta go.
All right, buddy. I'm gonna have you on. I'm gonna have you on back, and
I would love to, man.
Yes. Well, we won't have any more technical difficulties. But then you I'm serious. You brought up. You conjured up. I'm thinking a lot. Like the energy in the room was wild. Hey, before you go, tell my viewers how they can catch you online, because you have online publications. How can they catch you?
I write a weekly commentary and perform it for different radio stations, and then that turns into a column that gets syndicated, and that can all be reached at willdurst.com or Facebook, and I'm Will Durst at Facebook. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, okay. Will, thanks a lot. Hold on 1 second, 10 seconds off. I want to tell you. Okay, thanks. All right, cool. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.